What is up? Good morning. Yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. The Cardinals make the biggest splash signing in terms of a pass rusher in free agency, and there's a whole lot of everything else to get to. I'll see you guys in a few minutes.
The Ben Garcia Show. Yeah. Best show in the land. Yup. Listen. Come and get your information from Ben Garcia. Get the latest on your quarterback, running backs, and receivers. Tune in, so any other show you don't need them. Any news that he giving out, please just believe him. Giving out the latest prediction and top-notch analysis. Wanna hear the truth, better have thick skin like calluses. The latest move that your team just made can be damaging. The dudes ain't speaking no facts, they just be rambling. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. Yeah. Lights, camera, action, turn on the show, go get the cameraman. The Ben Garcia Show.
What is up? Welcome into yet another edition of the Ben Garcia Show. So many things to get to. I am so thrilled. In case you didn't know, I am not talking about anything Phoenix Suns today on the Ben Garcia Show. That'll be 2 straight days where there is no Phoenix Suns talk, and I couldn't be more thrilled about it because that team is absolutely miserable to watch. Instead, we are talking NFL free agency. You know, it drives me insane when people always say free agent frenzy because it's hardly ever that, but I'm struggling to decide what I want to go to. At this point in the morning, you know, Jonathan Allen has signed with the Vikings. Javon Holland has signed with the Giants. So nothing crazy has hit the fan for the Arizona Cardinals. But yesterday was a little bit of it was interesting the way that everything went down with the Arizona Cardinals. And I think about it like this. Yesterday, there were a lot of Cardinals fans frustrated. And before I get there, I'll just say this. Josh Sweat, the Arizona Cardinals, minorly overpaid for his services. It's NFL free agency, though. The thing that I had mentioned yesterday was you are paying for what they have already done. You're not paying for what they are going to do. I saw Aaron Banks yesterday get $26 million a year from the Packers, and that was a guard that I liked for the Cardinals to go after. But free agency is largely what? Fool's gold. Last year, Christian Wilkins got an absurd amount of money, barely played any games for the Raiders. That's just what happens. Free agency is largely a cesspool of nonsense and mostly a lot of dreams wasted and are never actually realized. So the Arizona Cardinals, being smart with their money and identifying the best pass rusher in free agency, and yeah, slightly overpaying for him a little bit. But he's 27 years old. His best year was with Jonathan Gannon. And we saw a couple of people report yesterday that people believe that Jonathan Gannon is the right person for the job to get him back to what is his elite level of pass rushing. In 2022, he had 11 sacks. Over his last couple of seasons, 6 sacks, 7.5 sacks, 11 sacks, 6.5 sacks, 8 sacks. Yeah, they overpay a little bit? Maybe. What do I care? I would have done it again. This team has no depth on the defensive line. They have no ability to go get someone on the defensive line that is actually better than whatever it is they had now. Or they didn't have the ability. So what is a great addition to this team and exactly what the Arizona Cardinals needed? He doesn't necessarily raise the ceiling of this pass rush. He doesn't exactly allow them to get he doesn't make them feel like they have a Myles Garrett or a Micah Parsons or an elite level guy that can take your pass rush to new heights and completely shift over coverage, or I guess I should say protection on him. But what he does is he raises the floor of this defensive line too many times last year, I felt like the cornerbacks or the defensive backs as a whole got way too much flack for letting guys get open. And most of the time, that is because guarding guys for 4 or 5 seconds. I actually like the defensive back group for this Arizona Cardinals team, but it doesn't matter if you have the Legion of Boom back there. If you don't have anyone rushing the passer, it doesn't matter. Richard Sherman can't cover guys for forever. Cam Chancellor can't cover guys for forever. Earl Thomas. Byron Maxwell. But what those teams had were stout defensive lines. You got to speed up that mental clock of the quarterback. So finally having a competent pass rusher on this defensive line is massive, especially for Jonathan Gannon, who has had great years with Josh Sweat. He's not an old player. He only got $40 million guaranteed, which means if the contract doesn't work out in 1, maybe 2 years, they can largely get off his money. Oftentimes people look at the contract as a whole. Let's just call it 4 years, $120 million. And people are like, oh man, that is a ridiculous contract. How could they do that? Well, the $120 is just what agents put out to make their clients look better. It's always about the guaranteed money. Always. So if it's 4 years, $60 million guaranteed, really all you're worried about is that $60 million guaranteed. You're not worried about the other $60 million unless the player plays up to that contract. So to those yesterday that felt like the Cardinals maybe overspent a little bit on Josh Sweat, I'm just not there. And I'm more than excited with the fact that they did this. Because you needed to raise the floor of this pass rush. It was abysmal. Imagine if today we're talking about them not getting anyone. And I don't think they're done yet. That's the other key point to this as well. Josh Sweat was a really good start. Good player. Has continuously played well under Jonathan Gannon in the past. Josh Sweat was exactly what this Cardinals team needed. Elevate the floor of this pass rush. And yeah, maybe they overpaid a little bit for him. It's free agency. Everyone is getting overpaid. But it wasn't a massive overpay. It was maybe a couple $1 million too rich. For a pass rush that has no talent, you pay that every day that ends in Y and twice on Sunday. So yeah, Josh Sweat was the absolute right guy to get for this team. Especially for a team that has no other guys on the line. And I'm ecstatic that they made the move and spent the money. But, and this is a really big caveat, a really big but, you're not done yet. This was a good start, but it's time to continuously be aggressive. There is still Micah Parsons out there who I don't think is a crazy person to get traded. That was my bold prediction yesterday, was that Micah Parsons would be a Cardinal. Now, bold predictions don't mean I think it's going to happen. Bold predictions are, if I had to give you one big bold prediction for free agency period, it would be that one. He's not even a free agent. You'd have to trade for him. But that was my bold prediction for free agency period. For the free agency period. But there's still Trey Hendrickson out there. Josh Sweat was a really good start. But it's time to continuously be aggressive. Do you see what the Commanders did? Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil and whoever they can get their grubby little hands on. They're making moves, man. The Cardinals need to be following the Commanders' line of thinking. The NFC West has never been more open. The Seahawks are a shell of themselves. After giving up their franchise quarterback, I'm not going to exactly believe Sam Dizzy Darnold is going to figure it out with a different head coach and a different system. But whether it's Sam Darnold, Devontae Adams doesn't scare me on the Rams. I think the Rams' defense as a whole scares me more than Devontae Adams. The Niners lost everyone. The NFC West has never been more open. You need to be aggressive if you're the Cardinals. Yesterday was a good start. I thought they were a little too conservative, but I don't know what they're working behind the scenes. yesterday showed they're willing to fork over their money, even if it seems or is perceived as a little bit of an overpay. A little bit. Just fine. I don't care. I think it's totally fine to overpay, especially a little bit in free agency where everyone is getting overpaid. Aaron Banks, the new guard for the Packers from the 49ers, got $26 million a year. Like, that's an overpay. So I'm not frustrated or worried about that. I like the ability to be aggressive. Again, it was a good start. But there's Trey Hendrickson out there. Micah Parsons could potentially get moved if the Cowboys don't want to pay him. There are other moves to be made, and the Cardinals need to continuously be aggressive. This isn't we got Josh Sweat, sit back and let things happen. Take a page out of the Commander's book and continuously load up on talent. You still have the cap space to make it happen. Cooper Kupp is potentially a guy who I really like for this team. His ability to mentor this wide receiving core and be a security blanket for Kyler Murray. I think that's what you're looking at if you're the Cardinals. Be aggressive. Trade for someone. Don't spend all your dollars in free agency. Go make that extra money put to work in the trading market. Other than that, I thought it was a good start from the Cardinals yesterday. But here's something I really wanted to get to. This is really interesting. And this is where I'll end the show. Yesterday, before the Arizona Cardinals signed Josh Sweat, there was a lot of hand-wringing. A lot of hand-wringing over Monti Ossenfort. Oh, man, the Cardinals, they don't want to spend money. Oh, Monti Ossenfort, he's cheap. Oh, of course, Bidwell, he's not spending money. Can we just back up for a second? Monti Ossenfort has one of the 32 GM jobs in the world. And you're telling me he's willing to sabotage that by saving Michael Bidwell a few bucks? Bidwell doesn't save any extra money because they keep their $60 million in cap space. It's a revenue-sharing league. Sure, maybe he makes a little bit more, but it's a revenue-based sharing league. So it doesn't have anything to do with Bidwell. Now, signing bonuses, things of that nature, sure, but that's not a Bidwell thing. And the other more important thing, to everyone going after Monti Ossenfort yesterday, I actually got in a debate with my buddy who was trying to tell me Steve Keim was a better offseason general manager than Monti Ossenfort. Monti Ossenfort has continuously done well in drafts. Even last year, it wasn't a superbly elite draft class, but it was good. Still got a lot of talent out of those guys. Outside of Budda Baker, Kyler Murray, and what? I think that's it. Budda Baker, Kyler Murray, and that might be it. Trey McBride. Outside of those three guys, there are no Steve Keim draft picks on this team, and you have to add Zaven Collins to that mix. 4 dudes on a 53-man roster. Steve Keim couldn't draft to save his life. Monti Ossenfort has gotten more starters in 2 years than I think Steve Keim had in his whole tenure as the Cardinals general manager. So this idea that Monti Ossenfort is being too aggressive is not being aggressive or is not a very good general manager. Like, I think my guy Aaron in the chat made a good point. Monti had to come in the first year with no quarterback, I might add. Kyler Murray is recovering from torn ACL and fix everything. He had to rid this team of players. Oh, but he said, he let Zach Allen walk. Zach Allen was coming off a 5.5 sack year. No one thought he was going to be the second coming of J.J. Watt after he left. Hey, we're going to blame him for that? Oh, Byron Murphy, you let him walk. Yeah, well, that one I don't have a good excuse for. It happens. It happens. Just trying to rid this team of Steve Keim guys. And that's what he did. One thing about Monti Ossenfort is he's always had a plan. Steve Keim never had a direction or a plan. He went whatever way the wind blew. And that's what's frustrating. And so yesterday, I see the casual fan getting upset because, Monty, he's not spending money. Oh, man, why didn't he overpay for this, that, and the other? I told you on this show yesterday, which is why you should be ecstatic to be one of the few people watching this show, because I'm largely right. This free agency class is terrible. It's not good. Milton Williams, the third string defensive tackle on the Philadelphia Eagles behind Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, got like $26 million a year. I told you that was going to happen. And I'm more than thrilled that Monti Ossenfort said, that's a little too rich for our blood. Well, we don't want to do that. No, that's okay. Because if that guy busts, what is your backup plan? What are you going to do with all that money you lost? Like, look at the landscape. Javon Holland barely got signed today. Like, it's not a very good free agency class. I'm thrilled that the Cardinals are acting like a smart organization and not spending every bit of their pennies that they have left to make you feel better. It's fake outrage is all it is. You wanted the Cardinals to spend money, or at least a decent amount of fans wanted the Cardinals to spend money. But if they would have spent a grip ton of cash on Jordan Lewis or whoever it is, right? Insert name here. And then they start saying things like, oh my gosh, they overpaid for this guy. Last year, they went and got Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones or Jonathan Jones, and all they did was complain because, they spent too much. Do you want them to spend money, or do you want them to not spend money? Like, that's my thing. Monti Ossenfort is operating the Cardinals like a functional, non-desperate organization. It's just fake outrage. You're not actually upset. You just want a reason to be upset. Oh, man. I just... I can't even think of a name outside of Milton Williams who the Cardinals got outbid by the Patriots, who have, I think, the most cap space in the league. And they paid him a grip ton of cash. Far and away what I didn't think he was going to get. You know what bad organizations do? Overpay on talent in free agency that normally doesn't pan out. I tried to tell you this yesterday. Hey, don't be surprised if the Cardinals don't go get Milton Williams, because they're probably going to be priced out of that. It's going to get insane. The Panthers were going to offer him, I think it was like $24-25 million. The Patriots upped it again. This is a guy who's never had more than, I think, 6 sacks in a season. Dante Stills, in the last 2 years, has more sacks than Milton Williams. And you wanted to pay Milton Williams that much money? You already have him, technically. Dante Stills. So, I see the Cardinals fans, and I get it, being upset because they missed out on a guy that they thought they were going to get. Smart organizations don't overspend on average talent. Paying great money for good players is a recipe for disaster. And then they went and got Josh Sweat yesterday, and a lot of the hand-wringing was, oh, man, they overpaid for Josh Sweat. Couldn't believe they did that. Oh, great job, Monty. What do you want? Do you want him to spend money or not spend money? Like, shut your trap. Spending money on free agency doesn't actually do anything but make you feel better. Oh, well, at least they did something. Oh, look, they went out and got Jordan Lewis for a ridiculous amount of money. Or they went and got Byron Murphy for $23 million a year. Oh, man. All free agency does is make you feel better. It doesn't actually show production on the field. So I like what the Cardinals did. They're identifying key talent on this team that they can, pay a decent amount of money to, that being Josh Sweat, and bring him on the Cardinals for his services to up the ante on this defensive line. Also, what player did you want the Cardinals to go get? Outside of not getting Milton Williams, who are you upset that they didn't get? Who? Like, I liked Dre Greenlaw, but he had $25 million a year, and he's coming off a torn Achilles. I like some of the players in this free agency class, but I get it. Monty needs to make a trade now, and I think something's coming. I don't believe Monti Ossenfort was as fiscally smart yesterday if I didn't think something else was coming down the pipeline. Whether that's a Micah Parsons, whether that's a Trey Hendrickson, the job is not finished yet. They need to identify whatever talent is out there on the trade market, because I believe building a team through trading and the draft is 10 times more important than doing it through free agency where you spend money willy-nilly, and by golly, the fans are so thrilled that you did that. No, it's not the way it works in the NFL. Grow up, Peter Pan. So, give it a little bit of time. Cardinals are going to figure it out. And I think a trade is coming. No, I'm not doing any reporting. I don't have any inside sourcing on this. But it doesn't make sense that the Cardinals wouldn't at least go get one more guy yesterday if I didn't think a trade wasn't coming down the pipeline. So that's where I'm at. All right, guys. Appreciate you guys making me a part of your day. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend about the Ben Garcia Show. Follow me on all social media platforms at Ben Garcia Show. Thank you so much for being with me today. We will talk again tomorrow. Free agency day 2, baby. And hopefully we don't have to talk about the Phoenix Suns at all again tomorrow, because they are miserable to talk about. But with that being said, I'm Benjamin Garcia. Thank you so much for making me a part of your day. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. And until then, I'm Benjamin Garcia, and it's been the Ben Garcia Show.